Hello and welcome. My name is Biagio Mazza, Pastoral Associate at St. Sabina Parish in Belton, Missouri, and I'm here to welcome you to another Do You Know series question. As we continue our series on the Christian creeds, today's Do You Know question is, do you know what the four marks of the Church represent? As we unpack the creed, after the creed affirms the equality and Trinitarian nature of our God and all of its attributes, the creed moves on to the four marks of the Church. This is the Spirit active and alive in and among the disciples of Jesus that produce the four marks of the Church. And the four marks are one, holy, Catholic, and apostolic. The Spirit, God's active presence in the world, is the one who empowers and activates the oneness, the holiness, the Catholicity, and the apostolicity of the people of God. So we understand these terms differently than we did before the Second Vatican Council. For many centuries previous to the Second Vatican Council, we understood these four marks of the Church in a very exclusive manner. For example, speaking about the oneness, we understood oneness as the one true Church, that the Catholic Church was the one true Church, and that we restricted the Spirit to the Catholic denomination of Christianity. When we spoke about holiness, we spoke about the Church being holy, a perfect society, a society that was undefiled, oftentimes the image of a spotless virgin that was undefiled before God, that could do no wrong. When we spoke about Catholic, we usually referred to Catholic with a capital C, meaning in terms of denominational affirmation, that Catholicism was the only true and legitimate church that existed, and it became equal to the kingdom of God on earth. And when we spoke about apostolic, we claimed that the church, the Catholic Church, was the only one that was in true unbroken line of discipleship from the time of Jesus and the apostles to this present day. And we were the only ones who were true to that lineage. With the Second Vatican Council, and with a whole vision of church, understood now as the pilgrim people of God, we came to understand the four marks of the Church and the role of the Spirit in a much more inclusive sort of way. And so now the terms began to take on a much more inclusive and expansive understanding. When we spoke about one, we spoke about the Spirit's work in the world and in all of creation, bringing unity, peace, and harmony among all God's people, regardless of whether they belong to the church or not. Holy referred to the call to holiness that all of the world, all of God's people are called to. And for us as Christians, as Catholic Christians, it's articulated in modeling ourselves on Jesus and the wisdom that he shared with us and the modeling that he shared with us. When we talk about Catholic, we talk about Catholics with a small c, coming from its root meaning in Greek, namely universal, welcoming of all, empowering of all, accepting of all, and working with all God's people to build the reign of God in our midst, breaking down boundaries and making sure that all are welcomed and so on. And then finally, when we talk about apostolic, we are referring to the notion of we trace our lineage, if you want, to Christ and the apostles, and we live that wisdom in our own community, and we share that wisdom with all God's people. And the Spirit is active in the world in lineage with the Spirit that Jesus left us. So that's what we mean by apostolic. And once the creed moves off of the four marks of the church, it also includes something really significant, that we believe in one baptism for the forgiveness of sins. Now, this does not mean that baptism is the only way that sins are forgiven, for we know that the Spirit is active and empowering in the world, present everywhere in all time, in order to be a unifier, a reconciler, a spirit of mercy, and a spirit of forgiveness. Therefore, there are many ways to be forgiven, but for Christians, baptism becomes the public rituals in which we publicly commit ourselves to live like Jesus and to strive to counter all those negative effects of sin in our lives. And so the Spirit, therefore, operative in all the four marks of the church, and the Spirit operative in forgiving sins through all of the family of the people of God. And so the creed affirms in a powerful way that the marks of the church and the forgiveness of sins flow from the Spirit's activity in our midst and continue to guide and motivate not only the Christian community, but the whole human family and the whole people of God. So I hope this has helped to explain just a bit of what the four marks of the church represent, and I hope you'll return again to more Do You Know series questions as we continue to explore our foundational beliefs in the Creed. Thank you very much.